What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, as always with me,
Liam.
You looked confused on that one today. Are you sure you're Liam?
Yeah, just deciding how I want to answer.
If you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. This episode is a little bit special because you guys specifically requested this. When we finished Handmaid's Tale Season 6, the final season, our little experiment that we did, many of you said, let's go back and watch Season 1. Watch all the seasons, but start with Season 1. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. This is Season 1, Episode 1, Handmaid's Tale, full reaction. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I went into Season 6 blind, tried to do some predictions, tried to figure out what was going on. Did decent. But many of you said, hey, love what you guys did there, but you really do yourself some service and go back and watch. And so, and many of you said you wanted to see how we reacted and what our thoughts would be. And so that is exactly what we're doing. If you're just doing it for the first time, welcome. We are a show about shows. Hit that subscribe button if you like what we're doing and let us know. But anyway, let's dive in.
So it starts off with some chaos. We've got Luke, June, and Hannah running for their lives.
Yeah.
They just committed felonies.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see that dynamic. Being introduced to Luke so quickly in the very first opening, just kind of like in flashbacks, never actually hearing any dialogue from him, kind of seems like a fumbling idiot. Just because, and this is my sole concern with this like whole piece right here, and sometimes I get a little too into the scene, but how the hell did he crash that car?
I don't know.
I'm very upset. If you were running away with your children and your wife, your child and wife in the car, I don't know. Anyway, like I said, sometimes I get a little too into it. I'll put that aside. That car should have never crashed. But for the plot, it had to. I get that. And then we are under the assumption that the gunshots kill Luke. I have knowledge otherwise. So again, if you guys haven't seen the final season of Handmaid's Tale and you're just tuning in for season 1, you may not want to watch this with us. Just giving you the straight up heads up. I've seen the end. And so I'm going to be relating things back and forth, and that may spoil it for you. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody. That's like the worst thing in the world when it happens to me. So don't want to do it to you. So just giving you the heads up. So with that being said, I already know Luke's alive. And so like the misleading gunshots and then her fumbling through the woods, hiding, all of that. I get why it had to happen. But for me, that scene just didn't make sense.
You gotta remember, she's got no experience with running or escaping or evading.
Yeah.
She's just a regular civilian, got thrown into this.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I tend to sometimes overthink a scene and just be like, that's not real, but it's Hollywood. And sometimes we have to take liberties and just be like, okay, I'll go with that. And I will, because again, I did not have any intention of watching Handmaid's Tale at all, period. And you're very interested in it and you convinced me to watch it. And I really loved it. I thought it was a well done, well written, well acted series that I've seen only one season of. And so now that we're going back, I'm like, I want things to make sense and I want it to be laid out perfect, and it's not going to happen that way. So I'm just going to let that go and enjoy the ride.
So you got to remember, in watching this, you get to see how weak and battered she is. She is not the strong June that you got to see in season 6.
Yeah.
She doesn't have all the confidence of all these little micro rebellions that she's helped enact and been part of for all these seasons. She is brand new. She's like an infant that hasn't been able to speak yet in terms of let's actually rebel.
Yeah. This is where I want to make sure that my timeline's correct. So when they're running away in the car, that's as Gilead is like taking over. Like they're rounding everybody up. They're, bagging and tagging people. They're putting them in their little designated houses. Oh, you're a Martha. No, you're a handmaid. No, you believe. So you're a commander. I did a little bit more research too, because I wanted to know how it was laid out. And so there was like a nuclear war that also happened at the same time. There's parts of America that are like waste.
Irradiated.
Yeah. I noticed that on the map. And then I noticed that a lot of the rebellions like Texas, Florida, it's all on the outskirts trying to push back in. Yeah, so that gave me a little bit more context of what was actually like going on. I didn't realize that parts of the United States had been completely irradiated. And then when they talked about working in the colonies, having your skin peel off, I was like, oh, that makes sense now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Radiation. But I don't want to go more into the timeline yet because the show will unravel some of that.
Okay, so I'll stop being a sleuth on Google and start looking. I actually, all I did was look up a map. I wanted to know what is the world of Gilead. What does this world look like? because I'm, huge fantasy guy. Like, I love fantasy novels, shows, all of it. And one of the main reasons I love that genre so much is that there's maps. Like, a really good fantasy world has an entire lore and map and like geography, and I love that. So when I notice that there's like a map for Gilead, I'm like, ooh, let me take a look.
Yeah. Just wait. You're going to see that in the future. You're going to end up seeing some of the colony stuff.
Yeah.
So they will get to it. So have patience. We'll get there. But let's go back in. At the beginning, after that escape scene, we are now seeing June in the red robes, and
She's now off Red.
Yep.
Of Fred.
Yep. Yes. What do you think they had to break down in her to rewrite that identity? We've done a whole bunch of identity shift work.
Yeah.
And what do you think it would take to, instead of making someone better, break someone down the way that they did?
I mean, in the first episode, they showed you pretty much like their tactics. One is indoctrination through just beating, like forcing you to like constantly listen to this dogma, this misbelief, right? This new writing of history as they're doing it. And they're taking pieces of history and pieces of the Bible and warping it into this fucked up thing that becomes Gilead, right? And you could see Aunt Lydia doing that. I think Aunt Lydia actually represents how it's done. She's the best representation of it. Because one, she's doing the psychosomatic stuff where she's forcing them to learn it. At the same time, any defiance is met with absolute violence. I didn't think that Janine was going to lose her eye in episode 1. I thought she had a lot more going back and forth with Aunt Lydia before the eye got taken.
I could not wait for you to watch episode 1.
I was totally taken back. I was like, damn, really that fast? I'm like, they went straight for the eye. And then they used the Bible to, justify why they do that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is how they break them down.
And they also use shame to help indoctrinate them as well. That's why you saw Moira, just do it.
That scene didn't make sense to me at first. And then once I saw what was happening, it ultimately, because at first she's sitting there and she has already lost the eye, but it's healed up enough. So you can tell it's moved forward into the future quite a bit. And she's talking about a situation that was like from her past, is my understanding, right? As she talked longer and longer, I'm like, oh, she got raped before she ever became a handmaid. Mm-hmm. That was my understanding.
When she was a kid.
Yeah. Like multiple people. They just kept 2 or 3 at a time, she said, or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, that's what she's really talking about. And then, Aunt Lydia goes into the whole Aunt Lydia vibe there where she's, well, whose fault is it? And, that to me was just like, whoa. And that's the indoctrination part of it, right? Is by fear of pain and or death, you will comply. And so, if you don't raise your hand and say the words, wham, smack, you already saw it. So yeah, to answer your question, seeing it, so what's it called? The Red House? What is that facility called? They said the name once in the episode. Is it called the Red House? Let us know in the comments.
Red Center.
Red Center. The Red Center is, obviously how they break them. And we got to see inside of that in this episode of like how they really do it. Yeah.
So now I hope you're starting to see why there were so many in the comments talking about Janine and how she's been fucking abused.
Yeah.
And this is just episode 1, dude.
That was the one thing. Thank you guys so much. Always. This ride's been awesome. And it's mainly been awesome because of all of you coming on it with us, really. The show is great, but watching it with you guys has been awesome. Because Janine was pregnant and also going a little crazy in this episode, she never took part in the violence. And that was so significant to me because in the series finale, when Belle gets killed, I wanted Janine to be a part of that. I wanted her to get her dessert, be able to feel that vengeance a little bit.
I did too, and I completely forgot that she had never did any violence whatsoever.
Yeah, and so when I saw her not even in the circle, not even trying to push her way forward, just kind of out on the outskirts, being a little crazy.
I think it's because she was pregnant and she wasn't allowed to participate. They didn't want to risk the baby.
That makes sense, but I also don't think she doesn't have it in her. She doesn't have it in her to do it. I don't think.
Do you think Aunt Lydia was protecting her since that moment too, even after taking her eye?
No.
Then why?
She's not special yet. There's no reason. Nothing that I saw in episode 1 showed me favoritism or that Aunt Lydia was starting to take a liking for her. Not at all.
I was asking just to figure out where your head was at.
No, I don't see that at all yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
when right before they're doing the whole like mass indoctrination through, hey, you're now collaborators type shit, because that's what they're doing. They're having them commit heinous acts so that they become on their side also.
Yeah.
That's one of the big reasons why they have them do the violence and the punishment. Now, the guy, they are going through talking about how he raped a woman.
Raped a handmaid who was pregnant and
Yes.
lost the baby, which
Yes.
is, they're like the holy vessel, is my understanding. So doing that is like a direct disrespect to God.
This is where you absolutely see Aunt Lydia as the true believer. As we go through the seasons, you're going to start to see that facade crack a little bit until it finally gets to the point where you saw it in season 6. But in this area, like, I think that's why Janine wasn't allowed to participate, is because they are so protective of the unborn children.
See, I get that, and that would make a lot of sense, except for me, it didn't seem like anyone was stopping her from participating. She was right there on the edge of the violence, just choosing to watch.
I feel like it's implied.
Okay. I mean, at the same time, she didn't participate, so we know that.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Was it supposed to be implied? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Another thing that was interesting to me in this episode was Serena. I was introduced to her in season 1, episode 1. Or season 6, episode 1, right? So she's on a train, and she's showing favoritism towards June, showing that she cares for June slightly, but she's also, as we saw in that episode, very still stringent in her beliefs, and believes that what she did was for the good of mankind, and that she was helping people, and a little delusional in the things that she had done to June, almost, because she was like, oh, it wasn't really that bad, you can forgive me. And June's like, what the hell's wrong with you? But what I saw in Serena in this episode, it reminds me of a bully in high school. Like someone who is hurt at home, who has no control, who just feels beat down and lashes out on those who they think they can get away with it. That's how I saw Serena in this episode. Because I know there's going to come a time, the comments have shown me, that she shows evil. Like she shows that she can be evil. But in this episode, I saw almost like a broken wife who didn't want anything to do with what was going on, but did it for her husband, for the good of Gilead and the beliefs that they have, but took no joy or excitement in it, and it almost feels like a lost puppy following her husband around the house trying to get his attention, instead of, I don't know, this evil queen of whatever the hell we could eventually get.
I don't know what to say, because there's so much coming that I want to talk about, but I'm doing my best not to ruin it for you.
Would it be fair to say that, like, in episode 1, that's how we should perceive her?
Yes.
Okay. So we haven't got to the Serena that ultimately needs redemption and everyone came together and said doesn't deserve.
So some of the episodes in the later seasons, and even this season, can have flashbacks to where they were, how things were being set up, and stuff of that nature, where she was actively involved in helping do all kinds of shit. I'm trying to be very vague.
Yeah, well, we're going to get there. Something else that stood out to me is when Aunt Lydia is kind of like, one, indoctrinating the girls, but also filling us, the viewer, in on the beliefs of Gilead and why it's structured the way it is. And she talks about the handmaids being holy vessels, fertile and able to provide God's gift to the barren wives of the commanders. And when she said it that way, I'm like, if God's gift is fertility and being, a holy vessel for God and being God's light is being able to have a baby, then wouldn't that be a direct representation that the women that are currently married to these commanders are corrupt and evil? And I mean, for all other purposes, like Satan worshipers, because they're not able to produce a baby and they're not in God's light and they're not a holy vessel. So again, I go off on tangents on scenes sometimes, but like my mind goes there. So I'm like, if that's their belief, then these wives shouldn't matter. These wives should be almost as the lowest totem pole, the non-believer.
Well, if you look at a lot of history, it's the hypocrisy, the obvious hypocrisy that everyone else sees that makes it look so stupid.
Yeah.
And you always question, like, how did mustache person rise to power, right? Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like twisted beliefs thrown at the masses. Either they conformed or they didn't.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what the conclusion I had come to. But I wanted to bring it up because these things bother me, and I want to see what other people think about them. But yeah, the commanders themselves don't even truly believe the words they're saying. They're just using it as a way to keep themselves in power and manipulate.
Look at how Nick was talking to her. He just half-ass says the lines.
Yeah.
He's and then picks up some nuts, walks out the kitchen type thing, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed is that everyone's almost robotic in what they say. Because it's you have to say this, that otherwise, you're not acting normal. So every interaction with the Marthas and the Handmaids and the Nick, and then even when, not yet June, but off Fred still, because she doesn't tell her name to the end of the episode.
Wait until because Erin's watching this with you also.
She wanted to, but because we're watching it for the show, and I watch right before I come over, it wouldn't work out.
Okay, so you'll be able to rewatch it again with her because she's eventually going to watch it, right?
She's interested, yeah.
Okay. I can't wait until you guys start joking around with each other. Praise be.
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, okay. It gets to be so. I remember first time I started binge watching this with my ex. It just was so ridiculous. We heard it all the time. We just started saying it as a joke.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
And it was just.
We are vets. We have very dark humor. So
yes.
I get that. But, Erin and I have watched entire series and seasons with, we've been together forever. And I don't think we've ever. She's not a movie quoter. I am. So I'll quote that she's seen and she'd be like, what's that? We're like, okay. She's not a movie person like me or like us. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up.
Emily.
Yeah, Emily was cool. But even when Offred was talking, almost like her Handmaid interview that she had there, with Serena and then Fred, that's his name, right? Fred Waterford, because they get a last name. When she's talking to them, she's almost robotic in her responses too, until the very end when she misspeaks. And then you can notice, everyone's, what? And
what just happened, yeah.
Yeah, Fred didn't really want to acknowledge it. Well, doesn't acknowledge at the time. Well, I'm sure there might come time in the future where you're always misspeaking, bitch, and hits her or something, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like I said, I can't predict the evil that comes from these men. It's insane.
I know some of y'all that are watching this with us while we do this rewatch are laughing and probably saying to yourself, yeah, we'll see.
Just put we'll see. Don't tell me, please. I don't like spoilers.
Yeah, don't ruin it for him because this is going to be really fun for him to unpack all these different encounters and stuff like that. But Emily, you didn't see much of her until the very last episode, the last season.
I only know her name. Yes. I know nothing else about her character, and I only know her name because of our amazing audience asking, whatever happened to Emily? And so I was like, who the hell is Emily? And then I realized it was the girl I know from Gilmore Girls, or the Traveling Pants movie that my sister loved.
In this, episode 1 already, you just discovered that she's the Resistance.
So, at first, I was confused on that, to be honest, because they have the conversation walking back, and she's, they finally open up a little bit, and she's like, finally nice. It's nice to finally meet you. And then she lets her know, hey, there's an eye in your house. Now, that puts her into this paranoid place. And so I was just curious. I'm like, is she trying to really help her, or is she testing her to see if she's trustworthy? Because in this world, you don't have no idea who you can trust.
She already gave too much information to hurt herself.
Okay. So she is just, hey, join me.
Almost, but she gave away that she is resisting.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's good for us to know in the series where we're at right now, because June feels that she's not alone. Hell, even Moira with that whole slapping of Janine when she was freaking out. She's, if I'm ever not here, she does that again. You better slap her.
Yeah.
Right? Even Moira is just broken at this point, just interested in staying safe for now until they can do whatever they may want to do in the future, but she still has no idea. The reason she's so conformed and the only reason she's being as nice as she is to June is their previous relationship right now. Otherwise, I feel like she would have completely turned on June. That's how brainwashed she is right now and whipped she is. Most of the women are like that.
Yeah.
Emily is the first character we see of the Handmaids that is truly just pretending. That's how I feel seeing it, and coming through it the second time anyway.
Yeah, I could see that. She's an interesting character. I'm interested. She's like someone I have no other information about, so it's interesting to
Which
see
is
how
really
that
cool.
unpacks. Yeah, see how that unpacks. We also have Janine going crazy from the trauma, telling June at that ceremony or the beating
That Moira's dead.
that Moira's dead, which sends
She's
June
like
to a spiral.
manic.
Yeah.
She's manic, giggling type shit.
Like I said, a little crazy from the trauma. But yeah, so now June is under the impression that her good friend from before is passed away, has gotten killed for running away. Right?
So she thinks, yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know better since you saw season 6 and she's around in season 6.
Yeah.
So that kind of ruins that little part.
I know eventually she ends up in Jezebel's, and then because she talks about working there in season 6, I know that part. But other than that, I don't know where she is right now and what's happening to her. I have no idea. So interested to find that out.
So there was that weird scene at the end of the series where you see Serena want to go into the room and she's kind of shunned from it from Fred and takes it out on June once June sees her little moment of weakness where she's hurt that she wasn't allowed in. And so she turns around, takes it out on June, go your room type shit, right? What I'm curious to know is, I know it's coming, but what do you think is coming for the next episode after this?
Shit. Well,
we're going to put you on the spot every episode from here until the end.
Yeah. So there's big gaps that I have, right? So I don't want to jump too far ahead. So right now we just got established some main core characters. We know Nick, we know Rita, we know June, we know Emily, we know the Waterfords, and we understand.
No, you don't know Fred yet.
We've met him.
You've met him, but you don't know him.
The ceremony was different than I expected. I was wondering why Nick and Rita were there at first. And then they cut to the other scene. I'm like, oh, I guess that's just like the beginning part, and then do a weird I'll hold you part later. I don't know. But the ceremony was different than I expected.
The ceremony was important because it shows that she's just being a surrogate. That's why it was so important for her not to show pleasure. Because you imagine being the wife there and seeing this other woman moaning between your legs. It's hard enough for Serena. You see her like turned away the whole time.
You know, she was trying to make like eye contact with Fred, and he kept looking away from her, and that made her cry. And so, yeah, it was just like a really weird, fucked up, uncomfortable, shitty situation.
They did such a good job portraying that in the best light that they possibly could, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you didn't need the screaming, the resisting to know how truly devastating that scene was.
Yeah. But I think it makes sense at that point in the series, because anyone who's been through the red center is broken, right? Like they've been unfortunately broken down into almost nothing. They have no more will, really, with the exception of we hear June in a monologue, which I'm loving. I love her in a monologue. That's like my favorite part of the whole episode is like her just talking to herself, like about what she would do or say. Really funny. But I think that since they're broken in the red center, by the time they actually get to the home where they're going to be the handmaid, I don't think there's much kicking, screaming, and resisting really going on at that point. Like all of that gets beat out of them and in the red center. Like unless you have a death wish, right? I don't think a woman in that situation is going to try to fight back.
Well, June even mentions one of the things that they're scared of is them jumping out the window or killing themselves, themselves.
Yeah, that was cool too. That was like the end of season 6 is that exact speech that she gives right there. Cool that we got to see that.
And thank you in the comments for whoever brought that up, because I didn't realize, because it's been so long since I watched the first episode of season 1. And so that was a cool little connect. And even the same scene with the ice cream.
Yeah. I didn't make that connection until just now, because she says, oh, that used to be an ice cream shop.
Yep. And then she says the same line.
Yep.
Even better than sex.
Yep. Or good sex, she says, because obviously the sex they're having isn't. Because she has to make that distinction while they're standing there. Because she says it, and then June's kind of like face kind of like shrivels a little, and then she's like, good sex, not the one we're having right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you asked me what my predictions are. So I think what's going to happen is more conversations between Emily and June. Somehow they're going to start having more of a more open conversation and really start figuring out some things together. I perceive that being a big part of what's going to happen here moving forward in season 1. Otherwise, why give that big drop at the end of the episode? Also, there have been multiple times now where we have seen June slip up and say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, be in the wrong place. And Serena's getting really fucking mad about it. And so I have a feeling that, just like I said earlier, the bully hurt people, right? And she's very much reminding me of a bully right now. And so she's going to hurt June somehow. She's going to find a way to hurt her, whether it's physically or somehow taking away some more of what she has or whatever that is, she's going to do it. And I think what we're going to start to see also is more of the beginning kindling of the Nick and June, where he's very much like showing up all the time in her life, even though he's not really part of it yet. Like every time she's kind of like thinking about some crazy shit or having a crazy breakdown, like he's there. He's showing up.
What do you think of that one scene when Rita's, oranges and tuna, right?
Yeah.
Because he mentioned to her that just don't get tuna. I hate tuna. And she just gives him that sly little smile.
Yeah.
Fuck you, bud.
Yeah. I think
Rita's kind of a bitch right now.
Yeah, Rita's very much a bitch, but hey, in this world, who knows what's happened to her? So I don't even know.
Yeah.
But the thing between Nick and June.
Oh, and no hate on that. I absolutely love that fact that she's being a bitch. It's awesome.
It's just a fact. The thing with Nick and June, though, right now is confusing to me because she's almost like flirting with him. And I don't know, like.
She thinks her husband's dead.
I get that. I'm not hating on her.
Okay.
What I'm trying to figure out is in this situation, why would she do that? Isn't that a huge risk? Like her own life is at risk by flirting with the help?
But he's a man that is not a slave or in that bad of a position, to be honest.
But as a handmaid, you're not allowed to have a significant other or anything, really.
No.
So
can't predict what's going through her head right now, but in my mind, I see it as, he could possibly be my way of not being a handmaid anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was like incredibly dangerous, and I'm curious why she would do that. And that makes sense if she's trying to find a way out using him.
It could be just loneliness, real connection, because he was kind to her.
That's true too. I'm sure that not many people in the world are even talking to her, let alone kind to her.
Yeah. Kindness goes a long way for someone who's had a lot of trauma.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, makes sense. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think, of course. I want to know. You guys have more insight most likely than I do, but definitely want to know.
I'm just excited to get to the next episode already.
Yeah.
We gotta figure out whether we're going to do multiple drops a week for this.
Let us know what you guys would like to see. Would you like to see us drop multiple episodes a week of Handmaid's Tale, or just do one episode a week? Let us know in the comments below what you think.
One episode a week would be a long commitment to this. I mean, it's a long commitment as it is right now, but I think it'd be better to have a couple episodes. We're coming into a time where new shows aren't really a thing until kids go back to school. Summer break, that kind of thing. So we're kind of at that point right now where I think we can get away with it.
Yeah. And fortunately, there's nothing new under the sun anymore. There's nothing new coming out. No original ideas that we've heard of anyway. If you guys know of some, drop them in the comments below. But yeah, we got a couple of good things in the pipeline, but they don't come out till the end of June, July, August, and then rolling into, like we said. So yeah, let us know. Let us know below. What do you think? Should we do 2 episodes a week, 3 episodes a week? I'm loving it, so it wouldn't hurt me any to get into it some more.
Yeah, I'm the one who's got to edit, so.
Yeah, it does take time, for sure, and we appreciate you for doing it. Give Liam some love in the comments for all his editing that he does on all these amazing videos. Really appreciate you guys being here with us. This video is, your guys' idea, and so we're here doing it for you, and I just really appreciate you bringing it up because I'm having an absolute blast on this ride, as I have said. So thank you for being here. If you really enjoyed this video, show us that by hitting that like button. If you're brand new and have not subscribed yet, or just for whatever reason haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do so. Also, hit the notification bell so you never miss a single episode. We're going to be dropping multiple a week, and then also we're still reviewing Murderbot and others, so we're pumping out content for you guys. Tons up for you guys to check out. Really appreciate you guys checking in with us. There's plenty of videos that are going to show up right here for you to keep going with us, especially the one right above my head. But we'll see you guys on that next video. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were. You've already come far.